So, what have we learned from our audience feedback? I will talk you through the ways in which we applied feedback to the development of our project. This will be supported on the following slides by a variety of images. So the first thing we did was send out an audience research survey to find out who our target audience would be and information about that target audience. To the left you can see we asked how many times a week roughly they watched music videos, and the results were good for us because they found that of those who also answered yes to were they fans of Mac DeMarco, our artist for the music video, a high proportion of them, higher than the average, said they watched music videos more frequently, for example 4 to 6 times or maybe even 79 times a week, as opposed to never or once, twice or 3 times. This is good for us because it ensures we'd have a large audience for our artist. In the bottom right you can see that the male and female split for our survey was 50-50. This made the survey very useful for us because we'd established using YouGov that Mac DeMarco fans were also just as likely to be male or female. So this meant that the results from this survey could be applied directly to the decisions we would make. And it also helped us to reinforce the truth about the YouGov survey, because when looking at individual answers, it showed that those who said yes to I'm a Mac DeMarco fan or I like him were equally male and female, so that was quite good. And in the top right you can see information from YouGov about the age of Mac DeMarco fans. This is because our survey largely only went out to people in our year, which was a big limitation actually, but we got around it by looking on YouGov and finding that the primary audience we would choose would be 25 to 39, as they were the largest group of Mac DeMarco fans, and our secondary audience would be 18 to 24 because they were also large fans. And both of these groups would be non-gender specific because, as shown below, it's pretty equal. In our questionnaire we also asked about the types of music videos that people like to watch, and this told us a lot about Mac DeMarco fans, because using the individual response tool we found that Mac DeMarco fans were likely to watch pop or 80s genre videos the most. We applied this directly to our planning for our music video, and we went with quite a poppy theme of a romantic breakup or heartbreak, which is quite a common theme, which would appeal to those pop fans, and when it comes to 80s genre, inspired by sort of George Michael-y, over the top romance themes also led towards that, but also the filter we applied in the flashbacks had a bit of an 80s feel to it, which we thought would hopefully help us to attract Mac DeMarco fans. On the right you can see an example of the individual response tool. Here you can see another question we asked about the different elements of a good music video. Now, with Mac DeMarco fans, originality was clearly deemed the most important, and so we took this on board and thought, we've got to make this original. So that's what led us to go with the very unusual Freemason theme. Felt this would be certainly something that's on a level with Mac DeMarco's weirdness himself in his music videos and his music and his personality. So we thought this would work. We also applied the interesting special effect on the mirror, which was original, we felt. if not for Matt DeMarco, because it has actually appeared in one of his similar effect has appeared in one of his videos, but on a general scale, it's not a commonly used effect. And also we went for some really unusual mise-en-scène supporting the Freemason theme. I thought all that would add up to quite an original video. For general audience members who weren't necessarily Matt DeMarco fans, as you can see, originality, location, and relationship to music/lyrics were the top 3 elements. So to take into account location, we decided to go for put a lot of thought in. We went for contrasting locations between dinginess of the room and the nice sunny open spaces which the characters are in during the flashbacks. And in those locations, we worked in the room particularly. We worked hard on mise-en-scène to create and develop the location. And we thought very hard about the relationship to the music and the lyrics before making the video. And we went for a sad, emotional tone, because that's very much the tone of the song and Matt DeMarco's music as a whole. The lyrics talk about being alone, which encouraged us more to go for the heartbreak storyline, because, as you can see, they were deemed important factors by our survey. Here you can see another important piece of audience feedback we got. This was after our first rough cut, more casual audience feedback. It was just in the form of conversation, unlike the official survey we sent out before starting on the project. And these were some of the things we received. In the top left, we were worried that the shadows created in the footage within the chamber was too much. However, we received feedback saying that people enjoyed the shadows, they created a spooky feel, so we decided, no, we're not refilming it, clearly adds something to the footage, and we decided to leave it in. They said a variety of shots and techniques were used, which were attractive and interesting, and this made us more happy with the footage. As you can see, there's a variety there of pans and still shots and extreme close-ups in the bottom left, and a nice mixture. Criticism-wise, it was commented that the camera was glanced at by our Freemason actor in one shot, so we had to go back and remedy that in editing, where luckily we had another take of the same shot, which was just as effective and wasn't looked at, so that helped us to correct the footage. And also through this process we noticed that our cameraman announced now at the start of the first shot, and we'd left it in through editing, we hadn't cropped it out, so we went back and removed that in Final Cut Pro. One person mentioned that more of an introduction was needed. You can see on the top right there, that was our first shot originally, and it was said that more of an introduction was needed to ease us into the video rather than just coming straight into the room. So we took this on board and filmed an extra shot, which was the two characters walking down a corridor towards the room. This added like an introduction before the music began. We made the music begin upon the door shutting, and this helped with the opening. So this little casual feedback session we had was very useful and helped us to make some changes and corrections, but also gave us confidence in the footage we already had to move on to the flashbacks, which we hadn't filmed at this point, and that's why it was just a rough cut as well. After we'd created our products, both the video and the ancillary products, we sent out a second survey using SurveyMonkey to the same audience to find out about what they thought. On the left you can see the answers to the question of whether the Digipack and album advert were effective. They came as quite a pair, they were very connected, so we thought it'd be fine to put them in the same question. Font use was quite a positive result. 70% answered definitely to whether they were effective. People said that it matched the door, it was fun, and it fit the genre. So we felt this went quite well. Only one person said that the font was quite hard to read. However, as this was only one person, and it was likely the survey was likely answered on a small screen on a mobile phone or something like that, we felt it was okay to leave the font as it was. In terms of photography below, this was again mostly positive. People said that it was professional composition. People said it linked well with the theme of Freemasonry, and people said, however, one person did say that the building name in the photos attracted too much attention. However, on reflection of this comment, it's an anonymous comment, which is good because it encourages people to give their honest opinion. We thought, as the building name, which said Masonic Hall, is actually the theme of both the video and the song, we thought it was actually an okay focus. And we didn't want to reshoot because we thought it looked good and helped to get the theme across and help people understand what the video was about if they weren't very familiar with Freemasons. Below that is the layout of the Digipack and the advert. People said it worked well, it was without clutter. However, one person did put that it was only partly effective, and this was for the same reason that they stated above when we looked on individual responses. They said that this was for the same reason that the name attracted too much attention, but we felt this was okay. In terms of illustration, this was the most positive section, and 90% said it was definitely effective, saying it was a professional, stylistic, and they said it suited the style of music, which made us really happy, and suited the rest of the product. This is probably because it was inspired by Mac DeMarco's own work, and so matched up. On the right, you can see the results from the question about the effectiveness of the video itself. Mise-en-scène first. This was quite positive. 70% going definitely, 30% saying mostly, and nobody saying partly or no. They said in the comments, they said costume was appropriate. They said props were effective and interesting. They said there was a nice location contrast, which was, as I said earlier, we were really going for. And they said that the room was really effective. So we were quite happy with that. However, one person did say that it wasn't a criticism, more of a suggestion. They said that a shot of the outside of the lodge would have been perfect as an opener. And this is something I felt I almost wish we would have done, because I think that would have been very effective. And if I was to develop the product further, I probably would refilm a shot of us maybe entering or about to enter the room, or just a shot of the building itself as an establishing shot. But overall, people felt mise-en-scène was very effective, so that's good. Originality. This was quite successful. People said the mirror flashback was very original. They said the idea and theme was very original, which it obviously was, and I think that would appeal to Mac DeMarco fans in particular. And they said the props in the room were very original, which we worked hard to get. We managed to source a lot of them, especially for the video. However, one person did say, a couple of people actually did say that the romance theme was not as original. This is true, it's not an original theme, but at the same time, a lot of Mac DeMarco fans are, at the end of the day, fans of pop videos, and it's a key theme, and also it's a key theme within Mac DeMarco's work himself. The songs and his videos do include like heartbreak and romance. So although it's a bit of a cliche theme, we thought it was alright to go put in it. At the end of the day, it's only a part of the video. The video as a whole is about him joining the Freemasons. And I don't think that was necessarily criticism. I think it was just them answering that part of the video wasn't original, and we're okay with that. In terms of narrative, it wasn't entirely successful. Although some people said that it was emotional and we created sympathy for the main character when it was combined with the music. People said they enjoyed the story and it was not too complex or simple. However, some people in relation to the last point said it was slightly generic, the romance aspect, and other people said that if you didn't know what Freemasonry was, it could have been confusing. I agree with this, but I suppose this comes with seeking an original, bizarre theme, which is something that Mac DeMarco does, and I'm sure if you watch Mac DeMarco's other videos that he's made himself, then you would also be very confused. So we're not too put off this. In some ways, it was what we were going for. And also, if we had put in the opener, which I mentioned before, that might have helped, which is a shame. In terms of relationship to lyrics, people said that the narrative supported ideas in the lyrics, and the tone of the song and the video matched together very well. We had one person say only partly, but they didn't leave a comment telling us how. Now, special effects was probably our most popular aspect of the video. People were really positive about the effect in the mirror, saying it looked professional, saying it added originality, saying it helped define flashbacks and define the narrative, therefore. People said that the fuzziness was really powerful in making him seem like he didn't want to have the flashbacks. So we were really happy with the way that turned out. Now, humour, this was, upon the numbers, people said no, that there wasn't effective humour within the video. Although some people said they laughed lots, and I'm sure some people would. We laugh lots when we watch it, purely because we've been in the process of making it. But at the end of the day, the people who said no, it's not very funny, they commented saying it's not funny, but it didn't need to be. I don't feel comedy was needed in this. And although we originally set out intending for a bit of comedy and tongue-in-cheek weirdness in the thing, if this hasn't turned out, it's absolutely fine, because in the questionnaire we sent out at the start, people didn't actually prioritise comedy as an important factor, and we acknowledged that, and in making the video we didn't make it a priority, and that's shown through, and I'm not too upset about that. Cinematography wise, we had quite a good response, with nobody saying it was only partly or not at all effective. Everyone went for mostly or definitely. People said they loved the shadows. People said it was nice variety. People said the room and lighting in the room was eerie and worked with the tunes. And people said that the close-up shots were very distressing and worked well. And we agree that was something that worked well. Acting, people said it was good at showing emotions. A nice contrast between when the actor was in love and when he was in the room and he had a bit of an empty, distraught face on him. It was a nice contrast. Others said that the Mason lacked emotion, which was effectively unsettling. So, although usually an actor that wouldn't be good, they said it worked really well. We had some negative comments saying obviously not professional, but they then followed that through with saying it's good considering you're non-actors, and at the end of the day, that we weren't real actors, so we're pretty happy with that. So overall, we had positive feedback on both the Digipacking album and the music video. There's a few aspects which I would improve on. For example, I like the idea of the opener. That would have helped with the narrative confusion one person mentioned. I was fine about the fact it wasn't deemed humorous. In terms of the Digipack, it was mostly very happy, and the only criticisms we got about the attention being pulled away, I think that's fine. I was quite happy with that because it helped us understand the narrative and helped link all the products up. So we also asked in our second audience survey about whether the video, Digipack and advert were clearly linked together. 80% said they were. They said that the colours of the font and the door matched up, and that the theme was continuous throughout all three, with photos and of course a video. We had one person who questioned the relevance of the building in the pictures of the Digipack and poster. When we looked at their individual responses, we found they weren't a Mac DeMarco fan, which probably explains why they didn't understand that the song is about that. And this is one negative of going for an obscure theme, but overall, going for an unusual theme had a lot more positives and positivity from the audience than not doing. On the right, you can see we asked whether the products fit Mac DeMarco's image and work. 70% of those who know about him, who knew him, said yes. 30% said somewhat. People commented, yes, the song is inspired by Masons, showing that many did know about that, and many said, oh, it's a very unique theme, which I could see Mac DeMarco using. So that was mostly positive. One extra comment to make was our use of social media in gathering feedback. By putting our work on both Blogger and our Instagram account, which we kept regular updates on, we were able to include them in the surveys we sent out by putting links in, and also just get direct feedback in comments, which helped us to craft our work. So as you can see, all this audience feedback had a huge impact, particularly the first survey, which was the complete foundations of our ideas and our priorities. It helped us to decide what influences to take, and it was just an absolute foundation. The second one helped us to perfect and develop, and the second survey helped us to understand how effective it had been and what final changes could be made in the future. So thanks very much for watching our question 3 of the evaluation. What have you learnt from audience feedback? See you soon.